But first, I will tell a story since it doesn't involve taking phone calls, and I hopefully can control my foul mouth. The story goes back to about, must be 7 or 8 years ago now. Brian, how about a little story music? I know you're working on your fantasy football league thing.
How's the fairy tale football going?
There, more demeaning. Story goes back about 8 years ago. I would say 7 or 8 years ago. Dr. Drew and I, thank you, used to do a lot of traveling. It was back when Loveline was on MTV. Loveline was very popular amongst college students, and there was money to be made in the whole college lecture thing. We go from college to college, and they'd have 3,000-4,000 people would show up, and we do our thing. We just take questions for about an hour and a half. I'd tell a few filthy stories, and we go back to our hotel rooms. Lots of interesting stories from the road. We had a horrible manager at the time. He still has the horrible manager. That is, Dr. Drew does. We had to make our own way to the airport, and then when we got picked up, it was pretty funny. You know, Drew's the only guy I met in show business who may have lower self-esteem than I do. We would do these college tours, and we'd end up in DeKalb, Illinois, or we would end up in Wichita, or we would end up in Kansas City, and we would get picked up at the airport by a student. And it was oftentimes the student who was involved with the student association or whatever it was who was booking the talent. And oftentimes, actually more than not, they would show up in two-door hatchback Celicas. And Drew and I, with a week's worth of luggage, would have to pile in the back of the Celica, which wasn't the guy's Celica. It was his roommate's hatchback Celica, and it had his laundry in the back. I mean,
right.
Literally, I'm not exaggerating. Two-door 79 Celica with a hamper filled with dirty laundry in the back seat. You have to push that aside. Then you'd open the hatchback and see if there was enough room for our luggage. There never was. The luggage would sit on your lap. He would then drive you to the hotel. First question he would ask is, do you guys know how to get to the hotel? Sure. I know where the DeKalb Red Roof Inn is. I've been there many times. I'll lead you away. As a matter of fact, I could do it blindfolded and drunk. No, I don't know where the hotel is. I've never been to your godforsaken city before. But that was first question. And then question number 2 oftentimes was, you mind if I swing by my house and change my pants? A guy literally wanted to swing by his house and change his pants. It was snowing outside. I'm not sure where we were this time, but he wanted to swing by the house and change his pants. And he changed, I always remember this, from denim jeans to black jeans. That's all he did. He just changed the color of his denim, and he came back in a car. Meanwhile, we're sitting out in the car, the two-door, smashed into the back of the two-door. It's snowing outside, and people are walking by because it's a college town, and we're on, like, Fraternity Row or whatever, and they're knocking on the window. Hey, Loveline! Hey, it's Drew and Adam. We're actually like on display because we're packed like sardines into the back of the hatchback. And we're just sitting there in the driveway waiting for this guy to go up to his house and change. Eventually, when we almost got killed in Kansas City because a chick had a car that was not roadworthy and passed the venue by about 80 miles on the way there and then got lost on the way. At a certain point, we said, look, we just need a car. We need a professional driver. This isn't working out with the super stoned, confused students picking us up and their cars that aren't safe to be driven at highway speeds. But that's another story. We had to provide transportation to the airport, drop the car off, and whatever. We were going to be out of town for about a week. We were doing about 4 or 5 colleges. First college, Florida State. There were, I found out later on, Seminoles. But this could have been Florida. I'm not sure. Anyway, big school in Florida. Found out later there were 9,000 people at the venue we were doing. Just not Foghat and the guys from Loveline, just us. 9,000 people showed up. I was as surprised as you are. I said, look, we're going to be out of town for a week, Drew. You live over in Pasadena. I live in Hollywood. We're going to LAX. I see no reason why I should pay $100 leaving my car at the park and drive, or you either. How about you pick me up on your way in, since I'm in Hollywood and you're in Pasadena and we're heading to LAX. Pick me up on the way in, and we'll split the price of the car storage thing and have a little company for each other. He said, no, can do. I said, why not? He said, I have to make the rounds at the hospital before I go into the airport. I said, well, we have a 7 o'clock flight out of LAX. That means we're going to have to hit the road about 5:15, 5:30. It's almost midnight now. You got some work to do in between now and then? Yeah, I got to go to the hospital. Drew's a maniac with this stuff. He said, if you want, you can come home with me tonight, sleep on the sofa. I'll get you up about 4, and when I'm making the rounds, you can just wait in the car. I said, will you leave the window cracked so I can get some air?
Like a little puppy?
He said, oh, screw you then. Don't do it. I said, Drew, are you kidding? Just go make your rounds and come pick me up. We'll go to the thing. No, I don't have that kind of time. I got to see patients. Drew actually had to see patients before 5:30 in the morning. When
My old man always did the same
dedicated.
thing. 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I'll tell you, doctors, these, unlike Bill Simmons, the sports guy from ESPN, who couldn't make it in Monday because the show starts before noon, I'll tell you want someone who can rally. Doctors, these guys are used to working 100, when they're interning and stuff, they're doing 120-hour weeks and sleeping in broom closets and God knows what. Drew had an endless capacity to do this. He would go to bed at, a little booger sugar didn't hurt either. He would go to bed at 1 a.m., get up at 4 a.m., and go to work oftentimes. Never a problem. So I said, no, pick me up. He said, no, not going to do it. I said, well, that's it. I'm putting my foot down. I'm not driving myself. We're not taking 2 cars. I'm not going to leave my car for a week. Somebody's going to have to drive me, and if it's a listener, so be it. I said, all right, So be it. So I said, all right, whoever's listening out there wants to drive me to the airport in about 5.5, 6 hours, I'm going to need to hear from you. I'd like it to be a chick, because I don't want to get raped by the side of the road.
Right.
I'm the raper, not the rapee.
Good to know.
Says it's got that little sticker right on the driver's license that says raper.
Right.
I want it to be a chick. It'd be nice if it was an SUV, a little room to spread out and hold a week's worth of luggage. And I'd like to give her a quick interview, make sure she's on the up and up because this is a pretty important gig. Fine. So we start taking a few phone callers, and I find a girl, and she says, you know what? I have to get up at 5 every morning to go to work anyway. I work as whatever. And I sussed her out as best I could with the time that I had. And I said, so be it. I'm going on a hunch. She's 25, described herself as cute, lived in my neighborhood. At the time, I lived up the Beechwood Canyon area. Toward the Hollywood sign, for those of you who are out of the area. I said, fine, you pick me up at 5:30 in the morning, and no problemo. It's not going to be any traffic at that time. She said, fine, no problem. I'm up that way anyway. I started thinking about giving her my address. I was living alone. I realized my house would be empty for the week I was gone, and I thought, I don't know if I want to give her my exact address. So I said, I'll tell you what. Beechwood Canyon goes right up the canyon there. I will meet you on Beechwood Canyon, which is down from my house, down many stairs. Now, out here in Los Angeles, up in the hills, they'll have these stairs that connect one street to the next. And these are the stairs that the workout guys take their hard body starlets to and have them run them. You'll see them running these stairs because they're almost vertical and they're endless. Leads one to the next. I'm up on top of the one street. I'm up on my street, but I say, I'll meet you right at the base of the stairs down on Beechwood. Now just head up. You'll see me. I'll be the guy out there with the Samsonite and the overcoat. It was raining. It was cold weather. It was cold outside. I'll be the only guy standing out there with luggage at 5:30 in the morning. You just head up Beechwood, go past the store. I'm right there on the right. All right. See you then. Fine. So I got up, I do my usual thing, go to bed at 2 a.m., get up at 5 a.m., pack my crap. It's that kind of cold and dark that it only is at 5 a.m., I don't care. If it's raining and it's dark and it's 9 o'clock in the evening, it never is what it is at 5 a.m. Maybe it's because it's early and you're disoriented, but I swear there's something different about the cold and the rain and the whatever. But it's 5 a.m., now it's 5:30. I have 2 big suitcases. I got a week's worth of luggage. I dressed and pressed. Dave knows that. So when I travel big. And I got the overcoat on, and I'm layered. And I head down this endless flight of stairs. So, it's dark, cement stairs, they're wet. I'm slipping and sliding all the way down. And I plop myself down on Beechwood, and there I stand. And it's raining, and there's nobody around. And it's that time when the whole world is asleep. Like, it feels like you're the only person that's awake. You and hopefully the bitch that's supposed to pick you up. Although I now suspect she was not awake either.
Wait, did you have her cell phone number?
I had nothing. I had nothing but my own
grief.
Well, I was going to say cunning and wits, but no.
You trusted somebody.
I trusted someone. I put my heart out there.
Yeah.